We're doing a special series to break the silence surrounding suicide. If you need help, we have the crisis hotline numbers running right now. So far this year, at least 8 teenagers and young adults in their 20s have taken their own lives in Greene County. The youngest, 13 years old. Grieving parents say we need to educate the public about severe depression and the challenges in treating mental illness. Tonight, we bring you one family's story about their son's fight for years to stay alive and the journal holding his final words.
He just sees himself as unworthy of having happiness or just being loved.
He was very concerned about being a burden to us. He really hated us having to worry about his situation.
19-year-old Sam Holmes ended his life in March after years of fighting depression, anxiety, and fear. The Missouri State freshman golfer appeared to be succeeding in life, a scholarship, a state championship. But this journal reveals a deep and dark battle with mental illness.
Depression and anxiety tell you so many lies. It tells you that you're not good enough. It tells you that you'll never be good enough. It tells you that things will never get better. And it's hard to overcome those lies.
His mother says Sam started struggling in 6th grade, so she got this journal thinking it would be easier for him to write down his feelings. Sam would write about girls and stress about tests. His mom would answer with words of encouragement, and they made a deal. Any topic on these pages stayed here.
You could not talk out loud about what was written in the book, so it was safe.
I always tried to talk to Sam, but I knew that he had a very difficult time sharing, these kinds of things with me.
By the time he hit high school, Sam couldn't stop the downward spiral of depression, guilt, and shame.
It's just I can't stand living with myself. I see all these other people just living their lives so effortlessly. I have never found that with myself, no matter how hard I've tried. I'm done living in this world that doesn't need me.
When children start to isolate, and again, you see lots of anxiety, when they just seem excessively sad and they want to be alone, they want to be in their room, when they start avoiding school and asking, please don't make me go, making up illnesses, that kind of thing, then you start getting to the bottom of it. And if they can't tell you, then it's time to get some professional help.
Sam had something else working against him: genetics. The Holmes family has a history of mental illness. Both of Sam's parents and his sister are coping with it. Even with counseling and different medications, Sam slipped further into isolation.
He had stopped being able to tell us he loved us.
And hugging, he couldn't hug us either.
And I think he didn't tell us he loved us because he knew he was going to do this. It would be too hard to let go.
The emotional pain even tormented Sam's sleep with nightmares that woke him up in a sweat.
My greatest fear is tomorrow. I dread waking up or thinking about the future.
If they can't look forward to something, what they're telling you is life every day is so painful for me that I don't want to be here, that's a massive red flag.
My husband and I, we never got a note.
The hit Netflix series 13 Reasons Why put a spotlight on suicide.
Hey, it's Hannah.
And ignited a firestorm on social media. Dr. Karen Scott says we need to use the attention as an education opportunity.
I think you have to assume they are going to watch it. And I think you talk about it. I don't think that series glamorizes suicide, but it glamorizes the idea of getting back at people who have hurt you.
You're one of the reasons why.
And I think you've got to counter that with who really loses.
Sam's parents found the journal and his final goodbye in his room.
I hope my family forgives me. There's just no point to keep living like this. Thank you to everyone that loved me. I loved you. I don't want people to see Sam as a quitter. He was brave. Really, he was brave to last as long as he did.
Today, Sam's mother talked to students at Nixa High School. It was her first time talking to students about her son's death, and the timing made that extremely difficult. Sam would have turned 20 years old tomorrow. She also started this Facebook page, Spreading Hope by Spreading Sam. She's posting resources here and asking people to share their stories. Again, if you need help or knows someone who does, we have several hotline numbers on our Facebook pages right now, as well as online at KY3 and KSPR.com. Imagine knowing your child is fighting severe depression, but you have to wait weeks to get results from medications with some serious side effects. Gage Cobal's parents got him counseling and even did genetic testing in their search to find something to help their son. Now they're calling for better access to mental health care and urging other parents to be proactive in spotting emotional issues in their children.
Gage was a very caring young man. He took care of people that needed to be taken care of. He tutored kids younger than him. He helped me coach younger kids in basketball and baseball. He was always looking out for people that needed help.
He worked with special needs students at the high school during his study hour. Instead of working on homework, he volunteered to work with the special needs children.
15-year-old Gage Cobal had a big heart and a generous spirit. He played percussion in the Nixa High School band. The sophomore loved music and also made it his mission to rescue animals, like his cat. But one cause Gage kept close to his heart.
He was growing his hair to cut it for locks of love. And that was one of the last things that he did. He cut it, he left a note, and said, make sure that this goes for locks of love.
Gage's father says his son started having panic attacks as young as 5 years old.
He had anxiety, real bad anxiety attacks. He was on medication. He was seeing a counselor regularly.
Gage took medications to ease that anxiety and depression. He even got DNA testing to see which drugs might be more effective. But as Gage got older, his father says the emotional struggle became more difficult to discuss.
They can't hear you. Sometimes they can't see you. You can't shake a 15-year-old boy by the shoulders and say, what are you depressed about? You have nothing to be depressed about. They can't hear or see that.
In many cases of severe depression, medication is prescribed, like Zoloft, Prozac, or Lexapro. Some parents are reluctant to give their kids medication because of this, the side effects, including what's called a black box warning. That's right here. A risk of increased suicidal thoughts or actions. And psychiatrists say sometimes it can take 4 to 6 weeks to see any benefits from that medication. Dr. Subodh Jan says when a child is put on medication with potentially severe side effects, a counselor will closely monitor that patient. He says demand for care is increasing, but we're dealing with a shortage of psychiatrists.
Absolutely. There is no doubt about that. Mental health need is increasing day by day. And the reason for that is we are also becoming more aware of the needs.
It's a crisis that we have more and more depression and fewer resources.
Gage's mother says her daughter had to wait several months to see a child psychologist to deal with her brother's death.
We did have to wait approximately 5 months to get into a grief counselor for Brooklyn. And so we were so thankful to have Lost and Found to be able to kind of bridge that gap until we could get her into grief counseling.
The group sessions at Lost and Found Grief Center are helping the family heal and adjust to life without Gage.
You know, while it's still a huge loss and a huge tragedy, it really has given her comfort to know that it's okay to continue to talk about him. We want to talk about him. We want to remember him.
Now she's urging parents to be proactive in their child's mental health as well as their physical health.
As parents, we take our kids to child checkups. We take them to get their eyes examined, but we don't talk about their mental health. And I really feel like mental health should be a part of their discussion before they enter to school.
The tragedy of losing Gage ended with hope for 8 people, 8 lives saved in the teen's final gift as an organ donor.
Out of something so terrible, that something good can come from it and that people's lives can be changed. That's pretty important. And really that's been a great thing to hold on to.
That was the essence of him. He was just a really great kid.
Dr. Sabode with Burrell Behavioral Health says a child suffering from severe depression needs family support, consistent counseling, and medication to treat that chemical imbalance in the brain. He says we need to stop the stigma surrounding mental illness so it doesn't keep people from getting treatment right away. Again, if you need help, we have the crisis numbers and information about Lost and Found Grief Center on our websites and Facebook pages.